Hey folks, it's Cimino once again, coming right back at you with another review of another Dirty Harry film, and that is my favorite of the bunch, Magnum Force, the sequel, the second film, I should say. Now, Magnum Force is directed by a guy named Ted Post, who I think didn't have the best time working with Eastwood on this film. Even though he's worked with Eastwood before, he did Hate 'em High. He also did Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Good Guys Wear Black, The Human Shield with Michael Dudikoff, a film called Go Tell the Spartans, and this is my favorite. It was actually written by, you have two guys, Michael Cimino, the deer hunter, and so on, and John Milius, guy who, of course, directed the original Red Dawn and Conan the Barbarian. Now, a reason why this is my favorite of the bunch, or one of the reasons, is it's my favorite story. Because when Dirty Harry, the first film, came out, people were, as critics and such, were like, well, Dirty Harry's really fascist and he's this and that. And like, oh, okay, if you want to call him that, then we'll really show you some people who are fascists and such. So the people that Harry goes after is sort of this death squad of cops, mainly rookie cops, traffic cops, who definitely take the law into their own hands, and you say they're vigilantes. And while Harry always walks that fine line, but doesn't really cross it, but he always walks that fine line, these cops definitely cross it. They definitely cross it because not only do they kill criminals, a murderous pimp, a drug kingpin, and so on, but they'll massacre everyone in the place. I mean, the first time we see a hit, sort of at the swimming pool, they kill everyone there. Not just the sort of the crime lord guy, but even the women there. So has no problem. They have no problem killing women. Uh, they have no problem killing another cop if it makes them not get suspected, or so that they don't get in trouble, get arrested. Sort of clean up their tracks. And I mean, you can't do that. I mean, that's still wrong, and that's why Harry walks that fine line. I kind of like that sort of. Uh, while Harry walks that fine line, you see cops that are a lot worse than Harry, than Dirty Harry. Like, he may be called Dirty Harry, but these cops are a lot worse. And it really just culminates in that scene where there's sort of like in a parking garage, and these guys, actually, the cops, you have David Soul, who I think was in the original Salem's Lot. You have Robert Urich, who's been in quite a few stuff. Tim Matheson, who was in Animal House, among other films. I think the other guy is Kip Nevin. And Eastwood asked him what he was going to do next week. Kill a dozen more. And they have this conversation. Dirty Harry ends it with, I'm afraid you guys have misjudged me. And they have. Dirty Harry may seem like that, but you really get the sense of who Dirty Harry really is. But yeah, he's walking the fine line, but these guys are going really over the line. So you really see what these guys are doing, what these guys are capable of. And I thought it was a nice sort of, it was a nice way to tell the story that Dirty Harry's going up against, you could say, dirty cops, or more fascist cops, or cops that are dirtier and hell of a lot worse than him. I just think that's a really interesting idea. And this is the longest Dirty Harry film, but it's my favorite, and I thought it went by a fast pace. I never got bored. And it's my favorite music of the Dirty Harry films. Lalo Schifrin. I always remember the opening where you have the gun like this, and then at the end it points, and you have Dirty Harry say a little bit of that line from the first film. Always remember that music. Da 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 da. Always, yeah, my favorite piece of music from the Dirty Harry films. And actually, the first time you see something that's not at a swimming pool, it's this mobster that gets let go. And people are pissed off because you let a murderer go, you get that son of a bitch. And he gets killed by this traffic cop. And this was still a time where you have practical blood squibs, and so when people get shot, it's pretty bloody. And then we see Dirty Harry. He has his new partner. Well, I say new. I don't know how long he's been a partner with Harry at this point, because this film came out in 1973. 1973. And his partner is played by Felton Perry. I think most people recognize him from the RoboCop films, RoboCop 1 and 2. He was the guy who played character Johnson. And, well, he was also in RoboCop 3 as well. He was one of the executives at OCP. You know, he had the glasses, and he was with Miguel Ferrer in the first film. And then he was in the second film and the third film. Second film with the old man, third film pretty much with Rip Torn and such. And, I mean, that's Felton Perry. I'm like, I knew that I recognize him. I'm like, oh yeah, he is from the RoboCop films. I guess he was also in Dumb and Dumber. And, oh, The Towering Inferno. The original Walking Tall from 73. And he did a good job as Dirty Harry's partner. And they're at a airport, and they're eating, and Eastwood finds out that there's these hijackers, and he's like, may I make a suggestion? So he goes undercover as a pilot, and he goes in and starts fiddling around, and then the other pilot says, you know, this may be a strange question, but do you know how to fly this thing? So Eastwood goes, nope, never had a lesson. Stops the airplane, one of the hijackers flies forward, punches the shit. Eastwood punches the shit out of him, gets in, shoots one right through the wall and gets him. Meets the other cops on the firing range after that. We're introduced to who these cops are and that they're really good shots. And that's where you have another killing, a mobster at a pool, and everyone's killed, including the women. I mean, someone in a traffic cop uniform just kills everyone there, including the women, the mobster, everyone. And this is what I'm talking about when I was talking before in the first Dirty Harry, where the other Dirty Harry films have a lot more action because Dirty Harry's a cop. So it's not every action scene is just from the plot. It's, okay, he's a cop, so he takes care of hijackers. Here, there's a robbery at a store. And like Clint Eastwood's at a stakeout, his partner is undercover as someone who works at the store. Some robbers come in. Eastwood's behind sort of a two-way, just you say two-way mirror, like glass that they can't see him behind. They're about ready to kill his partner, and Eastwood shoots one. His partner gets one. Eastwood's chasing one throughout the store and gets one. And then you have this pimp that kills his girl, and then the pimp gets killed because he's stopped by a cop. You have a little bit, again, you don't really know much about Dirty Harry, his home life, just that, like, there's this Asian woman who lives there, and she's like, just out of the blue, what does a girl have to do to get in bed with you? And Eastwood says, try knocking on the door. Pretty much just Harry on the trail, uh, messes with this guy who's an asshole. Um, then it moves on. This drug kingpin is killed, and that's where this other cop named Charlie, actor played by Mitch Ryan, who was the bad guy in Lethal Weapon, who his character was a friend of Eastwood's, and Eastwood, because the character you saw before that he was a little bit on edge, so Eastwood thought maybe it was him that was doing it, but then he's killed because no witnesses. And that sort of gets Eastwood's gears in place, like what is going on, and how did this one cop get there so quick? And he even asks another guy because this drug kingpin, there was a stakeout. He's like, how did this guy get there so quick? You guys were just across the way. And the guy's like, Harry, I haven't the goddamnest idea. He just showed out of nowhere. And then you have this shooting competition, this firing competition, which was that was even cool. I don't know why, but it was cool to see Dirty Harry in a firing competition against these guys, and he loses. But you just say whether did he lose on purpose or did he lose because he's thinking about a cop may have done this, so he accidentally shoots a cardboard of a cop. So it wasn't an accident, was it him just thinking about it? He tests David Soul's gun and he misses one, but that's so later on he could grab the bullet and compare it and see, a hunch that he's got. Clint and company go see these perps, but the perps, they get warned, and one of the cops, I think Tim Matheson, he gets blown away. And Eastwood, shoots one car, gets on top of another, gets out of the way, and this like big thing just smashes right into the driver's seat of the car, killing the guy. You also have Hal Holbrook, who's a superior, who's throughout the film giving Harry a lot of shit. This is, give me that bullet that you took out. And Eastwood's like, eat it. And then he talks about how he's come to the summation that's this death squad. And he talks to partner about how, well, the Tim Matheson character who was part of them, well, he was sacrificed. And they find out, I know, I'm going to be sacrificed. And they find out, you'll be sacrificed. And then his partner said, what if they get both of us? And Eastwood goes, they win? I just like the way, I think Clint Eastwood does another great job as Dirty Harry. I like his partner, Felton Perry. The score by Lalo Schifrin is my favorite score of the Dirty Harry films. I really like this idea of these cops. They confront Dirty Harry in the parking garage. Really solid scene. Just really shows you the difference between Dirty Harry and true fascist, bad cops. And that Dirty Harry, he's walking a line, but he's still on the good side. I thought it was a good cast. I like Hal Holbrook as a superior. And you pretty much find out at the end that he's actually is part of this death squad, this group. And I thought the cast did a good job. I thought it had a good, decent amount of action. It seems like always something was happening. Either it's one of the dirty, the Death Squad cops doing a hit on someone, or it's Dirty Harry dealing with robbers, or dealing with these perps, or dealing with hijackers, or it's a shooting competition. It seems like there's always something happening, which is what I enjoyed. I didn't really feel like it seemed like sometimes in the first film, which again, I like all the Dirty Harry films, but the reason the first film is my least favorite is only because sometimes it seemed like nothing was happening to a point. Here it seemed like there's always something happening. But again, I still like the first Dirty Harry. Again, I like all of them, but this one was always my favorite because I think the villains are the most interesting to me. Sort of a good balance against Harry. It's more than one. It's again fellow cops that are more that are the true fascists, that are the true, they're vigilantes, but they're not. It's not like Charles Bronson in Death Wish or something. It's no, these guys are killing women. They're killing innocent cops to cover up their, so there's no witnesses. These guys are not good news. And this is where Clint Eastwood finds this bomb in his mail, tries to call his partner, but Felton Perry gets killed because he opens the mailbox and boom. And then that's where you find out how Holbrook is part of it. Gets him into a car, pulls out his gun. You get a pretty good car chase because one of the Clint Eastwood was able to knock Hal Holbrook out, and one of the cops is chasing him. I think it's a pretty good car chase. He's able to run one over. I think it's Robert Urich's uh, character that he runs over. And then the last two chase Eastwood into like this old abandoned aircraft carrier, which I thought was kind of a cool setting for it. And Eastwood doesn't have a gun, so he has some hide and seek. And Eastwood like makes a guy waste his bullets and just fucks the guy up, just punches the shit out of him, just almost does like a judo chop, like right across the guy's neck over and over again. Just fucks this guy's business up. And then gets on a motorcycle, and David Soul chases him. Clint Eastwood knows what's up, so he slides his bike so he doesn't fly over the carrier, and then they're jumping like from one ship to another on their bikes. But then David Soul's character keeps going and flies off into the water and gets killed. Then Eastwood's getting back up, and then Hal Holbrook's there, and he's like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to use your system against you. And he's pretty much going to tell that Dirty Harry is the one that did all this. Which that makes sense to me. Like sometimes it's like, okay, why did he let the guy live? But that makes sense to me. Because Hal Holbrook, his character is known as uh, a stand-up guy. And now he's all bloodied up and to go, oh yeah, it's Dirty Harry. See, I told you, you guys, he was always bad for cops, and he was always on the edge, and this and that. So you could tell that he could cook up a story against Dirty Harry. But Dirty Harry, that bomb that he found earlier, without Hal Holbrook knowing, he's able to rig it and put it in the car, and goes off, and the car blows up. And probably has my favorite line in any of the Dirty Harry films. Like, this also has the catchphrase that was used earlier in the film, but is used here. The last line of dialogue. A man's got to know his limitations. And he has like a little smirk that you see, and then he walks off. And again, really enjoy the music. More of a softer music, which is, that music I think was in the first film as well. I really like the first film, this film ending with that sort of soft music. And again, it's like a pan, wide shot, pan out. Really like the way it ends. Just a very satisfying movie. Again, love that line, man's got to know his limitations. My favorite line. My favorite score. My favorite villains, because I really like the idea behind it. I think it went for, considering it's an over 2 hour film, it's like 2 hours and 2 minutes, and this was a time where the end credits was only like 30 seconds, because it only had to show the names of the people who were in the film. So the credits were not 5-10 minutes long. They're like, there's 30 seconds. So it really is a 2 hour and 2 minute movie. But I was never bored with it. It just seemed like something was always happening throughout the film. The cast did a great job. It was well directed. Plenty of action to satisfy. Clint Eastwood does another great job as the Dirty Harry character. I like Hal Holbrook, Felton Perry. The guys who played the cops, the motorcycle cops, they did a fine job. And just I thought a really good idea for Dirty Harry to go against these type of guys. And it definitely wasn't a copy of the first film. It did its own thing, and I think it did it very well. And just Magnum Force has always been my favorite. Always been my favorite Dirty Harry film. Always will be my favorite Dirty Harry film. But anyway, just that's my review of Magnum Force. So stay tuned, and you'll see a review about a few days of The Enforcer. So We'll see you later.